Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I've got the all new iPhone 12 Pro Max that I want to do a review on. I'm intentionally shooting this whole thing just as an average video. You can see we're in the middle of a home remodel right now, and I haven't finished painting my living room. My desk is a mess because everything's just kind of piled up on it right now. But this entire video is being shot with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. No external audio. This is the only one that I'm even using any kind of artificial light on, and that's just simply because where my desk is, it's extremely dark and the overhead lighting is just terrible. But I want to shoot this. I wanted to do this entire video the way that most of us would actually use this thing, primarily as a selfie camera, just to take some snapshots of just things that I see. And so we went out. I've had a week to use this. We actually did plan a more elaborate shoot to do, but the night that I got this, my truck actually got hit by a drunk driver, and that kind of just messed up some of our plans. So we didn't get to do as much of some different scenarios that I wanted to test, but I wanted to go out. We actually went out, we shot it in some difficult lighting situations, nothing like super grade professional, because I wanted to see how this actually worked as just a pocket camera. I see a lot of reviews where people are doing some very cinematic work, and that's great. And you really can do some really awesome stuff with this, but most of us aren't going to do that. This is going to be to take pictures of our kids on their birthdays, things like that. So all the audio, it's with the onboard mic. Other than this portion of the video, no stabilizers were used. Everything was being shot completely handheld because I wanted to show you real world what you guys can expect with this. Now, I'm somebody that I often carry a DSLR with me on vacation. After getting this, I'm not doing that anymore. This camera is more than capable, both video and stills, of getting what I need for everything except for my professional work. Now, I can't tell you if you've got like the iPhone 11 Pro, if this is a worthy upgrade or not, because, well, I don't have the iPhone Pro. I'm coming from the 8 Plus, and the reason why I had the 8 Plus was simple. I liked having the home button. And to be honest with you, after having this, I do miss my home button. I am getting used to not having the home button, but one of the things that frustrates me with this is when I have a mask on, the Face ID does not work. And so I end up having to punch my code in, which is a pain. But this isn't really a review on the phone itself, but I can tell you the speakers are very loud. I switched from Sprint to T-Mobile, and the calls, the internet speed, all that stuff is great. Whenever I'm in the Bakersfield area, near the area where they've got their 5G tower, the speed is blazing. I had a Facebook video that I was trying to upload the other day. It failed twice on my home internet. It was a 10-minute long 4K video, and it was kind of a rant about California going back into shutdown. And it was well over a gigabyte long file. It failed twice on my home internet, and I tried to re-upload it whenever I was in Bakersfield. I was about a block away from their 5G tower and uploaded in like 2 minutes. I was just absolutely impressed. But anyways, like I said, I'm not here to really review the phone itself. I just want to talk about the camera features. The clarity, the colors, all of this is great. Now, for me, most of the time, whenever I take even iPhone photos, I use the mobile app, the mobile Lightroom app, and I do some brief editing. I pump some clarity in it, a little bit of vibrance, bring the shadows up, bring the highlights down, all the same stuff that I would do with my professional work. Just makes them look a little bit better. But on all of these images, I did no editing. This is all straight out of camera. None of this, none of the videos have any color grading or any work done. It's just the way that you would get it right out of the camera. And it's really good. Now, having said that, would I do some basic editing with these snapshot photos I took? Yeah, I would. I would pump a little clarity, a little bit of contrast probably in a lot of them, things like that. But overall, the quality is extremely good. Now, I went for the 12 Pro Max instead of the 12 Pro because you get a little bit more zoom range out of this camera. You get what's basically a 65 millimeter equivalent, 2.5 times zoom as opposed to a 2 times zoom. So that is really, really good. And it gets you a little bit more range. That 65 millimeters close to the 85 millimeter range that a lot of us like to use for portrait photography with our professional work. And it's really cool. But what I actually found that I like more than that feature is the extra wide angle lens. So you're able to get all the way out to about 13 millimeters with this. I really didn't think it was anything that I was going to use, but I actually find myself using it a lot more than I thought. Okay, so here's the standard view, and this is what I like about this. Boom. I want to get that because, see, this is kind of a tight fit in here. Don't really have room to back up. I really didn't think that extra zoom on the camera would be that handy, but it is absolutely awesome. So if you're in a situation where you can't back up, you're trying to take a picture of a large group, or, you know, like I'm just showing you guys some images here that I took in an antique shop where there wasn't room to back out. And I'm trying to show you guys the different zoom ranges here with some of these images I'm overlaying. It's helpful and it's really cool. Do you get some distortion out of it? Yeah, you do. You know, towards the edges, like especially if you have people there, their faces are going to get a little warped. It works really well. Now you do get some lens flare with this, which is to be expected. I mean, you don't have a lens hood or anything like that. And it's not the end of the world though, but you know, in certain lighting situations, and we did try to put this through some kind of more difficult lighting situations, you know, you get some kind of soft images, but again, that's going to happen even with more expensive professional equipment if you don't know how to use it correctly. But overall, it worked really, really well, and I was extremely impressed with this stuff. Again, all of this video footage that I'm showing you, it is all handheld. One of the other things that surprised me with this very small sensor is how well it handled the some difficult lighting situations. We went out intentionally to the park at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it is winter time, so the sun's not bearing down as bright as it normally would be, but I wanted to see how well did it deal with highlights versus shadows, and it did a really good job. So you can take a look at this video here and you can just kind of listen to what I have to say here. All right, so it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now. Off to my right, we've got pretty bright highlights, and then in the middle and to my left, you've got shadows. There's no clouds in the sky, and you can see everything's fairly well exposed at the top right. You can see there's a little bit of overexposure there off to the left. You've still got blue skies, but the colors still look really good. Everything looks pretty well exposed in here. The dynamic range is actually halfway decent for such a small sensor. Okay, so I've got this at the 2.5 times zoom, and you can see the image is pretty stable. You can also see these white ducks. You know, the front part of them is fairly well exposed. It's doing a really good job, and the camera's stable. You see that guy there in the middle, he's kind of overexposed there. One of the other things that really impressed me is its low light functionality. Now this camera, a lot of people get consumed with the megapixel war, and megapixels aren't everything. And whenever it comes to this, Apple did is they went with a smaller megapixel size. So this is only 12 megapixels. So a lot of people think, oh, well, that's low resolution, it's terrible. No, what they were able to do by keeping the megapixels low, the pixel sizes are bigger. Now, I'm not a physicist, but basically what that means is with the bigger pixel size, it allows more light onto the sensor, which means cleaner low light images, and it works very well. One of the other cool things about this, it has a long exposure option. Now, right now mine's set to default auto, and it seems like to me every time I use that low light feature, it always does a 3-second auto exposure. I don't know how I keep wanting to say Canon. I don't know how Apple did this, because if you've ever tried to take a 3-second long exposure with the DSLR or with the mirrorless camera, it just does not work very well. It comes out very blurry because it's pretty much impossible to handhold a shot like that. But with this, it works, and it works really well. You can do up to a 10-second long exposure, and it also seems to work. But the weird thing about this is I don't know the voodoo behind the way that Apple's doing this to keep the images still, but it doesn't seem to actually take that exposure the entire time. What I mean by that is we tried some samples where I went out and I was just trying to get some light trails from some cars, and they pass through the frame, but you can only see the light trail for a portion of the frame, even though it passed through the entire frame during the exposure. Same thing with moving subjects. It only caught the moving person at the beginning of the exposure. It didn't expose them like a DSLR would. So I don't really understand how that works, but it does work. I also noticed that it doesn't seem to make a big difference if you manually adjust it to a longer exposure from the auto 3-second exposure. I really wasn't seeing much of a difference in the limited testing that I've done. So I do not fully understand how it works. I just know it works. The other thing that I'm impressed with is the onboard mic. Like I said, everything on here is being recorded using the onboard mic, and I try to use it in some different audio situations, and I'm gonna overlay some of that right now. All right, so we're out here at Bravo Farms south of Fresno, and everything we're gonna record today is all with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Everything's gonna be the built-in audio, and this is kind of an audio test because, sorry, I still got food in my mouth. I just ate a burnt tri-tip and brisket burrito, which was awesome. So off to my right, but anyways, what I was saying is everything's gonna be recorded handheld with the iPhone 12 Pro Max with the built-in audio, no mics. Sam got one too, so whenever I'm showing footage of me. She's recording with her camera. But off to my right, we've got a country music station playing. Off to my left, there's some video games playing. And then right there, you guys heard that about 30 feet away, we've got Highway 99 and cars barreling down that road. And this is just to kind of check the noise level. There's also a bunch of people out here eating. And so there's a lot of, ambient noise out here. And I just want to see how the audio performs. So far, I've been very impressed, not only with the audio, but with the video quality on this. One thing I forgot to mention when I first recorded this is there is a LiDAR function on this. It helps with your autofocusing and it works really well for that. But you can also do 3D scans of things. So I don't know if there's a built-in feature. I downloaded an app for free. I didn't read the directions. If I read the directions, I probably could have got better scans because I guess there's some things you're supposed to do when you move the camera in certain ways. I didn't bother to read the directions. But I played around with it. It was kind of neat to get these 3D scans. I don't know realistically how much I'll actually use this. I probably never will other than what I did for this video. But I guess in the future it's going to help with some of your virtual reality kind of things. I'm not real sure on how all that's going to work, but it's just something that's cool that's in the phone. So like I said, from top to bottom, I'm extremely impressed with this in all lighting situations, the clarity, the autofocus, the video. It's definitely, at least for me, coming from an iPhone 8 Plus, and Sam has the iPhone, or had the iPhone X. It's a world of difference better. Now, I don't know, again, from the 11 to this, how big of an improvement it is, but for us, this has been a night and day improvement. So I have a bunch of other reviews that I'm going to be trying to put out for you guys here in the near future. Right here behind me, you can see on my messy, cluttered desk, I just picked up the MacBook Air M1, so I will have a review on that here in the next day or two as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.